Hey everybody, and welcome to the newest channel, Titan Politics. And this channel I decided to create, because obviously our current political environment is an absolute mess. And this whole channel is meant to bring clarity, not chaos, between both Republicans, Democrats, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call your group, however you align yourself. And obviously, like I said, most of the environment is currently emotionally driven, and that's on both sides very clearly. I want to understand that there is going to be transparency, and I have a certain level of expectations that I'm always going to fact check anything I talk about whenever it comes into the news cycle involving both of these sides. And I'm going to be forefront with you guys. I am a conservative at heart, and basically that just means biggest and most biggest aspect of that is my foundations in Christ and my allegiance to God first and foremost through all of that. And that is where I will be coming at from the helm of all of this. And I want to emphasize that I also believe in personal responsibility and freedom and strong communities as well. And I think that principles matter way more about your party than loyalty to your party. And I also want to be forefront about, that I reject extremism on both sides, whether it's right or left extremism. That most Americans, you could probably say, I would say at least 85% of Americans across the nation are not defined as extremists. The extremists are just the loudest of both groups, unfortunately. And I think that, extremism is more for profit. And, it also obviously causes outrage and division, but these people go out there and they just want to make their case the loudest. So it sounds like that is what that group mostly represents, those people that are the loudest. However, even though it's meant to cause outrage and division because the media latches onto that and takes those, and that is the only thing they show you on both sides, that is not a case a majority of the time, and that is not where most people truly fall. I believe that moderates share more common ground than the media itself will ever tell you or suggest. So obviously I'm coming from that roots that we are more alike than a lot of people realize. And, like I established as a Christian, I am Jesus first, but also America first in a different sense. Politically, I'm America first, but overall encompassing life, Jesus first over everything. And that means just, a good moral foundation and not using Jesus as a political weapon. He is not a weapon. He is not something meant to be used to destroy one side or the other or to counterfeit or argue one side over the other. Now, I will stand in truth of Scripture. There's a difference there, though, but that is not weapon-based. I believe that faith informs values, but it does not replace governance necessarily. However, when our government oversteps its bounds that pulls into aspects of our faith, that is where we start to have a problem. And I will not shy away from that at first. And I know it's starting to sound more and more, you're just another conservative kind of spewing his ideas. However, that's not the case. I view the idea of Jesus Christ, and I would rather be able to witness about Christ than be a lawyer for Christ. I'm not here to argue about Christ and be a lawyer for Christ. I have a whole other channel called Titan Faith that is meant to be all derivative of Christ. This is meant to dive into the politics and to push back against extremism on both sides and to find that common ground. I believe that this channel is, it's not about outrage or clickbait. That is not what I'm going to do here. I don't want to do clickbait or outrage. I think that our mission here is to simply find that common ground where both Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals can come to the table and be able to discuss values that truly we share and represent. There are social boundaries between the two. There very much are, and I recognize that, but I think that also those social boundaries, we can be able to come to the table and discuss properly without any sort of violence or extremism involved in any of it. And I think that this common ground idea has to have an investigation for every topic. We have to look at every single topic, every single media news outlet that explores all these things, look at all the facts, and find that common ground where we can meet in the middle and agree on some things and disagree on others, but in a very American First Amendment way. And, not introduce it with any sort of hateful rhetoric or any hateful bounds, whatever that may be. The news is going to be covered like this. We're going to discuss, a lot of different elections, legislations, cultural events that happens, global events, even some tragedies, unfortunately, that are going to be happening. And this is not, this is going to be mainly involved in America, but if something is bigger in the world that's going on, then obviously I will address that as well. And I will obviously analyze multiple different perspectives instead of just one single narrative. I don't like any of the news stations. I don't like CNN. I don't like Fox News. I don't like Newsmax. I don't like MS Now. I don't like NBC, ABC, none of those. I don't like them. I just think that they are there to push up the narrative more and more, to drive more division between all of us rather than to actually bring unity. And, I want to talk about the different, separating facts from that media spin as well, because we're going to, talk about the different stories that the media is involved in and kind of talk about where they're spinning this from the original script or from the original video or from the actual incident itself to fit their narrative better for what they want to do to drive division between us. I don't see common ground as a weakness. It's not. In fact, it's a strength. If you have so much loyalty to one party that you can't see the facts of the nature of the other side, then that is a problem. And that is actually just insanity, because the same thing is occurring over and over again, and you are unwilling to accept the same result. You are willing to accept the same result and not change anything. And that's how we come together. We change. We address different misconceptions that compromises things, but we also have to understand that there are different leadership aspects in both sides. Strong leadership balances conviction with solutions. We have to understand that our convictions that we have about these different topics and different issues, we can find a solution, and we can compromise a solution out of these different ones. Again, there are going to be some things that we may come to the table and we just cannot agree on something. But that is okay. That is a part of humanity. We are not 100% going to agree on everything all the time, because then we would be robots, and then we would have no sense of any sort of personality or anything. And that's not good. We need to have different promotional ideas. We need to promote the importance of pragmatic and pragmatic and moderate leadership, not derivative, full-on contentious behavior from leaders on the Democratic side or leaders on the Republican side, where they only value what they talk about and what they believe, and that is it, and they won't even address any of the situations that are involved with the other side, which is a problem. This channel is honestly just for anyone who feels politically homeless, or moderate viewers as a fact. I want to appeal to people that are tired of the constant political fighting. I don't want to, obviously I'm going to have some people that are going to come on this channel and I recognize that and absolutely hate me for what I talk about. And that's okay. That's fine. I understand that. It's the moral compass right now and the moral consistency of the world. And unfortunately, there is more unfortunately, there is more divisiveness than there is unity, and that's the problem, because that's how the media shows it. But in reality, when you go around just to your day-to-day lives or see people day-to-day, most people get along no matter their political beliefs. I have many Democratic friends and I have many Republican friends. I have many liberal friends, conservative friends, many people who are Christians that are my friends, and many people who are not Christians that are my friends just as much. And I think that we have to be able to come to understanding the idea that not everybody's the same. I could meet a conservative Christian friend who values Jesus first and America first in the exact same way that I do, and there will be differences between him and I. And we're not going to agree 100% on every single issue, no matter how closely aligned we are. But having said that, I want to reaffirm that my commitment to progress is also not going to come without losing my principles as well. I will stand on the moral grounds of what I believe as well when it comes to things, but I am willing to delegate and talk as well. I am willing to discuss and encourage people to be respectful in their engagement and critical thinking. I want to be able to have guests on the show who think differently than me, and guests on the show who they can talk to each other that think differently as well. And I want to be close and welcoming to everybody who comes to this channel, to feel like they can actually feel like they're getting the proper news as it is regarded, not from a conservative view, not from a liberal view, from a simple truth view. That is all it is. And that is what Titan Politics is in a nutshell. So I hope you guys enjoy what I'm going to bring to the table. I'm going to be obviously covering different videos, different aspects of what happens. A lot has happened, obviously, in the past year. I'm probably not going to be covering a lot of what has happened. I'm going to just focus on current events that are ongoing, unless I feel that it is necessary to dive into those aspects that people continue to argue about them. That may be the case. Okay, if it is, so what? And we'll get there. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy what Titan Politics is, and I will see you guys on the first episode, where we will discuss the breakdowns of what a moderate is and what an extremist is overall on both the liberal and conservative side. So anyway, guys, have a wonderful day.